I think one of the most significant meditations that I did when I was young was the rotting corpse. And it's a meditation that is really, really difficult to do when the ego is active. So there's no point in you doing it. There's no point in you being forceful about it. If it doesn't feel right to do it, then don't do it. And if you want to try it, then you try it. It's basically that you sit down and you start your meditation and you imagine that you sit next to your dead body. You just died, the body's still warm, and you're sitting next to it. And then you let time go on while you sit and meditate next to your dead body. So the body starts to go cold, rigor mortis sets in, and then the whole rotting process starts with larvae, flies, and the whole dissolving process. And it ends up with you just being completely dissolved, turning into salt. That's basically what you are, salt. And for me, doing that meditation, I was quite young when I did it. It really changed. It was very provocative in the beginning. I was still tied into ego. I still believed. It was before my awakening, so I still believed someone to be there. But then I got cancer, and this exercise or this meditation changed very much with that. I had malignant melanoma, and I got 4 months. They gave me 4 months left to live. So doing this meditation was, I think at the moment when I started to do it, it was about preparing me for what was going to happen. And when I then stopped my meditation and came back to my young son, my son was just born, and coming back to that life, then I would be more present and more aware. That was the purpose of doing it. And I knew the meditation from beforehand. It just never really worked for me. And it really, really worked for me, knowing that I was gonna die. And then I read somewhere in all the literature that I was chewing through to find out a way to cure myself for cancer. I read a sentence where it said that 80% of all people that get cancer dies. 100% of all people dies. And that clicked for me. That made me realize that I was not dying more than anybody else. And who knows if I'm going to die of cancer? I could be hit by a bus before I die of cancer. So having a diagnosis like that is one thing. A prognosis, completely different. Completely different. And doing the meditation really helped me in seeing through self, really understanding that assumptions is one thing. So the meditation about the rotting corpse is really good. You don't need to force it. If it doesn't feel comfortable or you don't want to do it, then don't do it. There are lots of other things you can do. It's just one meditation or one reflection that is really useful in becoming aware of the ego, because the ego cannot imagine a world without you in it. Your ego cannot see the world continuing after you're dead. It's also why when you dream, and you never die in a dream, because the ego cannot fathom that to be possible. That can't be. So really working with the sense of control, with the need of control that the ego has, it's really, really good in dissolving the ego and the assumptions of the ego.